Well, it's time to go inside the zone with the voice of the Komets, Shane Albahrani, and obviously I'm not Glenn Marini.
You're not.
You can tell by the lack of beard that I don't have right now. Obviously, Shane, let's start last night. The Komets pull it out against Cincinnati. They're the top team in the entire ECHL. They come back to win in overtime, 5-4. How big was that for the Komets?
Well, that was big, and I keep saying all season long, I'm like, all right, this is the turning point. This is the turning point. I think I said it like 3 times. I'm going to say it again. Maybe this is the turning point because that was a big win on home ice. Yeah, Cincinnati is a very good team. They're the top team in the ECHL, like you said, but the Komets have played them pretty tough this year. That was the fourth win, I believe, against Cincinnati. So I think they're 4-4. So they've played the top team in the division and the ECHL very tough. And to pull that one out last night, finally in overtime, when they have not had very much luck. And again, getting down to the final seconds, scoring a goal with 40 seconds left to tie it up, and then force overtime, and then getting the win. Yeah, I mean, at some point, these guys are all going to put it together. It's all going to click. And I think this past week, really, I know we lost in overtime Wednesday, but the team looked very good. And then getting the win on Friday, and then last night against Cincinnati. So you're hoping that this is the turning point.
For the team, obviously, you talked about their success against Cincinnati. It could be a playoff preview.
Yeah.
How much confidence does that give them that they know, yeah, they're going to be playing a tough team, but it's also a tough team that they can compete with?
Yeah, I think it's going to build their confidence, but this team is still a work in progress. Even Cincinnati, they haven't had very much turnover this year. I think they've had maybe 26 total players, and that's really crazy for the ECHL. But at any day, the phone could ring, and a lot of players are going to go up to Rochester, so they could have a lot of changes too. So, it's kind of hard to say because you still don't know what kind of team you're going to be looking at come the playoff time. But yeah, it seems like the Komets and the Cyclones always play in the playoffs. So it would be kind of a weird year if we don't see those guys.
Correct. Going back to them, obviously. This team, it's kind of weird. You can't really put your finger on it. The last 10 games, they're 3-1-2-4, which is just a random smorgasbord of numbers. Kind of, what do you make of just the randomness of this season?
I got to say, when it comes to statistical anomalies, this has been new territory for me because even this week, I really kind of dove into numbers before this homestand, and some of the numbers I was coming up with was crazy. And you just mentioned what the record was over the past few games. In the month of February, the Komets only won 2 games. But they managed to get points in every single one of them but one. That is just a bizarre statistic. They went on, this kind of downslide, 13, 14 games ago. And when that happened, the Komets were in 3rd place. Where are we now? In 3rd place. So nothing gained and nothing lost. So you're still in good shape going into the month of March.
One statistical anomaly we can talk about is maybe shootouts. Not necessarily a good one. They're 1-6 in shootouts.
Yeah.
In one word to describe, what would the Komet shootout be?
I don't think I can find one word to say that, to describe that. I guess what I could say is that there are no shootouts in the playoffs.
Okay.
That's you're not going to have to worry about that. There's not even 3-on-3s in the playoffs. It's 5-on-5. So I even kind of throw out how we play on the 3-on-3s also kind of out of the window because it just matters how you are 5-on-5 when we get into the playoffs.
Do you think it had a factor last night? I mean, knowing we don't really want to get to the shootout. Let's try to score it here.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's always the goal is don't let it get to a shootout because, well, really, I mean, the 3-on-3s are kind of a shootout all in their own right. It's kind of a 3-on-3 shootout. Correct. But yeah, I'm sure the way the guys have been playing, 1-6 on the shootout. I'm sure. Hey, let's just win this one on the 3-on-3.
Justin Hodgman coming back. He obviously was out for a little bit with the injury. Coming back 3 games in, didn't really miss a beat. What do you see from him so far returning?
You just said it. He has not missed a beat, and it's hard to say. You don't want to say that one guy makes a difference on a team, but this team is really different when Justin Hodgman is out there because the guys on his line have to keep up with him. So it's going to change their dynamic a little bit, and he's just on a different level, and he makes other guys come up to a different level as well. So no, Justin Hodgman, it's great to see him back in the lineup, and we hope he stays healthy till the very end.
Of all the anomalies, we talked about the statistical anomalies, but there are a bunch of players on this team, Sidlowski, Shasma, Hodgman, to name a few. You remember last week they said they had like a players-only meeting. There's a lot of good leadership guys in this locker room. How will that help them down the stretch and then possibly into?
Oh, I mean, you got a lot of veterans on this team and a lot of guys who have won rings. You know, Jamie Shasma and Garrett Clark. You've got guys who just know how to win. So that is going to be huge. And you've got, you know, still guys like Cody Soul and Sean Sadlowski who have been in that locker room, you know, for 5-6 years now. So they know how important it is to the town and to the team and to all the fans. So, no, there's a lot of great leadership in that locker room. So, you know, and it just comes to a time where the players have to look at themselves like, hey, it's up to us. You know, the coaches have done what they need to do. Now it is up to us to execute it on the ice.
Correct. And what do you see from this week? Because this week's there's a couple of tough road games.
Yeah.
You're going on to Toledo, obviously. We know what the Komets in Toledo mean. and you go on the road against Wheeling as well. So what do you kind of foresee from
Well,
this
this is a huge weekend. You've got 3 road games, 3 different cities, all within your division, starting with Kalamazoo on Friday night, currently tied with the Wings for 3rd place. Kalamazoo is going to play a game on Wednesday against Toledo, so the Komets will have, I think, 3 games at hand going into that game on Friday night. So there's points right there, but it all starts getting a win up in Wings Stadium, which is Wings Event Center, which is something they haven't been able to do. Then Saturday night, you get another tough opponent. You get to go to the Huntington Center, even tougher place to play. And then you get to play a Sunday afternoon game in Wheeling, a team that's behind you. And speaking of Toledo, we know how tough that is. But the Komets right now are only 5 games back of 2nd place. I know it seems bizarre to think about 2nd place, but I think 2nd place is still going to be in play in the Central Division, whether it's Fort Wayne or Kalamazoo or even Indy or Wheeling. I think 2nd place is attainable for something else. So it's like, so you're not going to have 4 teams playing for 2 spots. You could have going for the 3 spots instead of just the 2.
Correct. I was going to ask you about, because we're winding down the season, the regular season a little bit. Kind of what's the best case scenario for the Komets to make a push into the playoff? Like, what's the best scenario for them to get on a run?
Well, you've played a lot of games within the division to finish up the season. That's what all the teams are doing, which is good from a standings and a schedule standpoint. So, no, you've got to win those divisional games because they are essentially 4-point swings. And it starts this weekend when you've got those 2 games. You know, you don't want to really you can't worry about Toledo ahead of you. But again, you want to get a win against those guys. You want to go into Wheeling on Sunday on a winning streak because, you know, those guys are hungry too, and those guys are fighting for that playoff spot as well. So, no, I mean, this team has played very well, even though it doesn't look that well. What they've done over the last month, it doesn't look well, but this team is playing really, really, really good. You know, Sean Sadlowski is a guy who, you know, he's the MVP of the league, and he hasn't really got it going. But you've seen him; he's picked up quite a few points past couple of games, and he got the game-tying goal last night. So I keep singing his praises. That once he starts to bust out, you know, look out. So there's a lot of good stories on this team right now.
What will it take for him to break out? Because last night Gary Graham, after the game, talked a little bit about how the horses, they need to get going.
Yeah.
And Gary doesn't need to tell them they need to get going. But they know the pressure's on them. What will it take to get Sadlowski really going, really back to an MVP
I think
form?
just he needs to shoot more, and I think he knows that as well. You know, get the puck. You know, his spots are top of the circles. You know, face-off dots, those are his spots, and those lanes are going to start opening up. And as soon as he starts, you know, dropping a few of those in the back of the net, you know, sometimes that's all you need. And hopefully that's going to happen for Sid.
And they'll get a little bit more respect for him when Hodge is back, opening up
right.
the ice a little bit as
That's
well. 3 tough ones on the road for the Komets this week. But Shane, thank you again. Glenn Marini, possibly back next week. Maybe I'll be back. Who knows? This will be the highest rating Inside the Zone. But check it out online, Inside the Zone.